Greetings, everybody. My name is Jake. I am with the organization Stream Your Care. We've been conducting some interviews with people that live stream with disabilities or in long-term care facilities or hospitals as they recover or as they're treated for different disabilities. Right now, I'm joined with our friend Sean. He's also known as TA51722 on TikTok or at Eddie Mancuso. That's Mancuso on Twitch. And we are just going to be asking him some questions today, getting to know him. I actually met him back in, I think, February or March of this year. He was live streaming on TikTok from a hospital in West Virginia, and I got to meet his community and I got to meet him and get to know him. He's just a real awesome guy. So we wanted to have him on this segment to get to know him a little bit better and help him advocate for his different needs that he has. So, Sean, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir, for having me and for all your help so far. You've been a godsend.
Man, I appreciate that. It's you've really inspired us. A lot of the different stuff that we were doing back in February was really inspired by finding different ways to try and help people, not just on Twitch, but on all social media applications. And you were very instrumental in helping facilitate a lot of the motivation behind that. So I really appreciate you being here now with us. I guess like the first thing on my mind is I would like to know at least if you could share a little bit about your journey from the ATV accident in 2023 to becoming a TikTok content creator and live streamer.
I can try. I've always lived on the edge. You know what I mean? I've always been a guy that's full throttle. And since I come out of the womb, man, I hit the floor running. Uh, I was by myself and I was having a boring day and I wanted to have a little excitement. And boy, did I get some. I got in a mess of gravel on the hardtop and I spun out and rode my vehicle. And I barely remember the details of that. Most of what I'm telling you right now has been told to me. Um, just patchy memories. I think I passed away 4 times. Pretty sure it was 4. Anyway, I woke up and, I had a breathing tube in. I'm not sure how many of you have ever had the pleasure of having one of those bad boys, but, if it says breathe in, you breathe in, and if it says breathe out, you breathe out, and I've always been pretty independent, so I didn't like that. I had the bad boy out, not once, but twice.
Oh boy.
But the 3rd time I woke up, I was tied to the bed. But, I had a wonderful facility that saved my life. Quick acting first responders, though I wouldn't be here without them. I broke my back in 3 places. I broke all my ribs but one. I broke my left foot and my left shoulder in 2 places. I had 3 brain bleeds, a pancreas bleed, and a kidney bleed, which they all cured. Had wonderful care, no bed sores, no problems with nurses or anything of that nature. And uh, eventually I got better. I was there about 4 months before I got good enough to go to a rehab. And man, it was a nightmare when they sent me to rehab. I get into rehab and I forgot to say I can't move my legs. I'm quadriplegic. I can't move my 2 legs. So I was at the mercy of the nurses, and they let me lay in my own feces for over 12 hours on one occasion. And the way they were doing me was so bad that I filed a complaint on them with the state, and they really didn't like that. They started stealing my pain pills. Sometimes they didn't bring me any pills at all, which I need pills just to function. Man, I take so many pills, and really was quite torture. And that's where the bed sores originated. Then you get to where I'm at getting discharged, and they didn't train us. They didn't just to basically have a nice life, you know. Didn't say anything about turning or uh, anything about anything. We were just thrown into the home care nightmare, I call it. And so to get from there to here, I went. I did get to go home, like I said, and the bed sores just got out of control. I had 4 stage 4 on my buttocks, and I had stage 4 on my left leg, and I'm not sure what the stage was, but I had one on my right leg and kneecap. Kind of running out of gas here, Dick. I don't know where to go with it.
Yeah, no worries. What's going through your head being subjected to a healthcare nightmare like that when you're in a facility, that rehab facility in particular, and you just feel like you're not safe, or maybe that the people that you might be paying or that the government is paying to take care of you aren't doing their job properly? What goes through your mind?
I really want to know what goes through my mind.
Yes, please.
It's worse than jail. And I've been to
Mm,
jail. It's worse than jail. I mean, at
mm,
least in jail, you get your respect. You got security, your own security, and you get hot eats. Little Pinky wouldn't even eat the chicken patty they fed me. She just turned her nose up at it. She'll eat anything. I mean,
Jeez.
she will.
wow.
And it just makes me feel very insecure and violated. You know, you're at these people's mercy when you're in these facilities, and you got the great people who love being there and doing the job, and then you got the other people. And we can do better. We can do better with just what we have in place right now. It's just tolerated. And I don't understand why it's so tolerated. Because I felt bad for myself, but then I got to think, what about all the other people in here who can't speak, who can't be their own advocate, who can't call the state, who doesn't have
Mm.
a wife to come and help them? What about those poor souls? What's their life like in there?
So, you had eventually managed to escape that, or just get out of that rehab facility and
What's the right word?
escape. I try to keep things soft phrased, but I don't always do the best job about it. It's a tricky tightrope to walk. So you ended up getting out of there, and I can't remember the exact time frame on it, but you ended up getting readmitted back into a hospital in Charleston, West Virginia, right?
When you fast forward, babe, how long was it when I got out of the hospital when I went back in for ulcers? You fast forward a few months, folks, when I got home, and I got the chills really bad, so bad that I got an electric blanket put on me,
Hmm.
and I couldn't get warm, man. I had double vision. I couldn't get warm. Didn't feel right. I had 7 ulcers. 2 of them were bleeding. They gave me 5 units of blood when I got to the hospital. Yeah, she's getting the date here. May 15th, I came home. June the 6th, Jake, is when we met. June the 26th. Well, they thought I was a goner, man. I mean, nurse. I got up July 17th. But listen to what they did to me, man. I mean, what kind of sick, sadistic person is in the healthcare field that overinflates your Foley catheter?
No.
Because if you put one syringe in, then what happens, Jake? You pull one syringe out.
Hmm.
They kept pulling on it and pulling on it and pulling on it. I told them, I said, man, that's hurting. And he put another syringe on there just to suit me and pulled a whole nother one in. I don't know that to be the way it went. It just seems awful fishy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I got really mad. I gave him a nasty Google review. And when I got there, I was in bad shape, man. I had 4 bed sores on my back, 2 on each leg. They had intensive bandage changing. They were supposed to change them twice a day. And they just dropped the ball, man. They changed them Thursday, and then they changed them the next time Tuesday, only because they smelled my rotting flesh. And that's what gave me that bone infection that nearly killed me, Jake, that I'm still at risk from. But that's the kind of professionals that we have here, that play silly little games. And I never even heard of this, man. I went to the hospital that's nearby as a joke, but I ended up there. I was unconscious. I had a UTI. Don't know how much experience you got with those, but they make you loopy, like you're drunk or something.
Hmm.
And I pulled my ostomy bag off of my body. I didn't spill it. I didn't squeeze it. I didn't play with it. I didn't throw it. I just pulled it off. I was out of it, man. The doctor called me an effing moron.
Whoa.
There in front of God and everybody. Could not believe my ears, man. I just could not believe my ears. That's just the kind of stuff they got down here. It's ridiculous.
Unacceptable.
It's
It's
horrendous.
unprofessional. It's definitely unprofessional. But anyway, okay, we're back to the legs. So then they started changing my bandages. They put me on a dolphin bed and they started rolling me regularly, which was funny to me when they said, you don't need to remind us to roll you here. We are here every 2 hours. Guess what? I was hitting that button every 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
I had a problem. They had an inner city female that worked there that was loudmouthed and overbearing. I just don't get along with those types of personalities to begin with. And I don't think it's suitable to have that kind of personality in a hospital setting. So she came in there and I told them I fired her. I didn't know you could fire health professionals, but I fired her, hired in. And so she had it out for me from day one. And then they got in trouble for my bandages. And then I put a negative review on Google, which you should do that after you leave, folks. I didn't know they'd read it. You know what I mean? They've read it. They read it the day I wrote it. But it was all true. The reviews on Google for them, it's all, none of it's fabricated. And it was just a long road to hoe. It's amazing, Jake, how I needed intensive hospital care. But then when my insurance ran out, it was time to go home because they needed bed space. So the ulcers are what got me back, but the wounds were in such bad shape they needed intensive care. So I think that was God's will to get me there. I would have definitely passed away, man. I was in a bad shape. I'm getting the chills right now, and I'm hoping it's not low blood. It doesn't feel the same, but it's pretty hot weather to get chills in, man. Other than that, they treated me pretty well. They took good care of me, kept my bed sheet changed, and they did what they had to do. It's just scary when you're at their mercy.
I've seen this.
You had mentioned a few times while you were streaming, I had tuned in over the course of a few different weeks, and you had talked about this is when you were in the wound clinic, right? That was a specific branch that you were in. You were talking about that they would lose maybe a patient a week at times. How did that impact your mental health? And were there any experiences or even people, personnel that were at the facility or at the hospital that made that experience better for you?
4 days in a row, buddy. They passed away on me. And the whole time I was there, it was 8 people altogether. Because the HIPAA, the staff can't really talk about details or things like that. But I learned what the codes sound like out there on the board. They had a new high-tech coding system.
Mm-hmm.
And it just turned my stomach when I heard that code blue sound. I mean, it just, especially when it's one thing to be there and to be healthy and to see all that going on. When you're in the same boat, riding down the same river, makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even begin to imagine being in that position.
Well, let me tell you something, pal. Money becomes very unimportant very quickly, and it's replaced with love. At least in my experience, I had one of the times I nearly passed away. I had been confronted by demons, and they were about 20 foot tall in red robes, with claws, and the most hideous faces, the most hideous smells you can ever imagine. I mean, it was an out of body experience. It was unbelievable, just unbelievable, and it just reassured me that if you're a believer, you're on the right track. Because
I can imagine.
I'm not saying I
I
went to
imagine.
hell, but I'm close. I was closer to hell than anywhere else when I was experiencing that. Yeah, all those people that passed away, I just prayed for them, and of course prayed for myself. Because my blood pressure got down to 52/38, and my pulse was 42. And instead of one nurse, I had 3 nurses in there. That's when you know it's real. You know what I mean? They was shooting me up with junk and trying to get me back to order, and it was just it's humbling, man. It's humbling because it's coming. None of us are getting out of here alive. But clarified things for me and my relationships and in the rest of my life. This is a necessary piece of the puzzle. And even though the facilities here are horrible, we can do better, and people should feel secure there, not the opposite. There's just too much. I'll tell you the truth. It's just too much good old boy politics in this state. That's the truth.
Yep.
If
Yeah.
if something's good for West Virginia, it's usually something that makes money. And if it's not making money, it's not making it across the legislature.
I can definitely relate to that. My mom's a caregiver. She's been a caregiver for 37 years. We live right outside of Detroit. And exactly about the politics. It's big political game through and through. And just money all the way trickles down. And those mix of two things don't mix.
Dude, they wanted to cut my legs off.
Oh, man.
He wanted to cut my legs off, and he badgered me about it. Finally, I had to get rude with him, man. I said, dude, I'm not cutting my legs off. I said, if I get gangrene, then you can cut them off. They weren't that bad. But he's a surgeon. That's what I try to tell my fiance. You go to the doctor with the problem, and he's either going to come up with a pill or a surgery to fix it. That's just what they do. The weirdest thing out of all this for me was when I come out of the coma, my mom and dad weren't there, and I was angry because of that. And man, for 10 hours I was waiting on them. I said, I know they'll be here. I know they'll be. Man, my mom died in 2015. My dad in 18. Man, they ain't coming by anytime soon. And I guess that's a common phenomenon, though, when you've been knocked out. Yeah, that was surreal, man.
When I came across you, when I discovered your page on TikTok, the community that I got to meet that would tune in and chat with you and ask you questions or play games with you, they really seem to make a difference. Just in allowing you to share updates and share your story, have some salvation, and that was something that you talked about a little bit. I would love to know just your perspective on what TikTok provided for you in that environment with so much chaos and just so much traumatic experiences, it sounds like.
It was very therapeutic at first, but they got some pretty nasty trolls on there that could get you banned for false reasons.
Oh yes.
And I wasn't trying to sell any dangerous weapons. I got reported for dangerous weapons or something ignorant like that. Where am I going to have weapons in a hospital? At first it was very helpful, but I'll tell you, man, it really messed me up when they kicked me off. I was
Mm,
lost that next day. I was like, because it occupies your mind. I've been in this bed so long, man, I got short-term memory loss. I'm only 51. I hope to be out of here, Jake, by Halloween. They bumped it up to Halloween. I've healed so quick. Remember, it was Christmas. They said it'd be Christmas. Now they're saying Halloween.
wow, that's a miracle. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, 3 month departure. Yeah, it's definitely the work of God.
How did the facility respond to you live streaming? What was their reaction? What kind of limitations did they try and subject you to?
Oh, they did not like it, man. They tried to tell me that it was against HIPAA for me to film myself, that it was against HIPAA.
Mm,
And they basically just threw a fit until I quit. They wanted the phone down and the audio off on my table if they came in. But this, you got to remember, this is after I wrote the nasty review about them. So who's to know if they would enforce that policy if I hadn't? Because they were really nice to me before that. I'm very easy to take care of. I'm very respectful to my caregivers because I realize how important they are to me. And I usually have a pretty good rapport with them. But I blew that one, Jake. I blew that one for sure. Like I said, I learned a lesson. Don't do the review on Google until you're gone.
yeah. There was a few times that I'd caught you, streaming, and you were preparing for a discussion with the superintendent at the facility or one of your doctors there. There were a few of those times that they had pumped you full of meds or painkillers or something like that just before you were supposed to speak with them.
Yeah.
Um, so I was wondering, how does that influence not just like those serious medical conversations that you need to have with people who are taking care of all the different things that they need to keep you alive, but also, how does that influence even some of your stream interactions? Did anybody ever mention anything about that?
There's just so much to be said about that. I'm sorry, Jake. I had a brain fart.
No worries.
Could you give me a synopsis of that real quick?
Yeah. So, when you're about to talk to doctors and superintendents and they would give you a bunch of medication right beforehand,
Okay.
very
Well,
fast
that's
acting.
see what just happened. I didn't do that on purpose. You see what just happened. That's what the medication does to me.
Mm,
And they when I was in the hospital, they did use that to their. I don't know if that's illegal or not, but they would pump me up and then come and talk to me about critical stuff. The superintendent was just a yes man. He was there to smooth everything over. He didn't do anything with any real teeth. He just was trying to replace me. I think they were afraid I was going to sue him for not changing my bandage. It's against my religion to sue people, so I don't do that sort of thing. I
mhm,
believe in karma. I believe in karma, bro. And karma looks for people. You know what I mean? Karma, if it takes too long, it's going to come find you. And in my 51 years that I've seen, that's the way that goes. But they definitely weren't sensitive to my needs in that respect. And I had a very arrogant doctor. That didn't help any. I mean, he's the one that was going to cut my legs off. He was just super arrogant. I don't respect people like that, man. And it's definitely very hard for me to fake it. If I don't respect you, you're going to know. I mean, you know it. So I got to put on a big act in front of them guys because most of them I can't stand. But I ran into one, believe it or not, Jake. This guy, a couple of visits ago, asked if he could pray with me.
mm,
So me and him and the two nurses prayed together right there in the room. Blew me away. I was having a bad spiritual day anyway, you know what I mean?
mhm.
And that really lifted me up. It's, that's the wonderful thing about that facility. There's some beautiful people that work there, man. They're not there for the money. They're there for the care.
Need more of those people.
Yes, we do. I'll tell you. My dad was one of them, buddy. My dad was a fireman for paramedic for 34 years and loved every minute of it.
It's amazing. I think I saw the pictures on your Instagram that you had posted of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard many stories from my mom's years of working there as a caregiver about just little moments like that. They can go such a long way, especially with religion, just praying with people, giving them that time, reinforcing that they're there, they're being cared for. Because a lot of these people, they aren't getting it with those caregivers. So for you to have that moment is incredible.
Well, and then I was on TikTok preaching a little bit, man, and that was there's two people that got saved in there. I only got so many followers now. It's like that hacker's doing something where because it'll say plus 12 followers, and it'll be like minus 12.
On your new account? I saw you were still climbing in numbers. You're like a little bit over halfway to 1,000, right?
Yeah.
But you haven't made any posts, right?
I'm gonna tell you the truth, Jake. I've been sleeping, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's all I do is sleep to get these wounds healed. But I've
But
been tinkering with it as much as I can. But I need to make updates and get more involved in it. It helps me.
for you to have gotten that close back to the being able to go live again with no posts, like that is a massive feat. People can't even dream of doing that kind of thing. So obviously you got something. You got that pizzazz to you, man.
Well, maybe I'm so ugly they can't quit looking.
Nah, man. You're a
Dreamboat.
handsome lad.
Shit, dude.
What were they calling you in your chat? Were they calling you Noah, or they were calling you something when you hadn't had a haircut in a while and they were calling you something crazy?
I don't remember that. I remember that, but I don't remember specifically. I had a lot of fun doing that, man. That was, that's like somebody being here with me. My family's here, but they got stuff. I'm the one stuck in the bed. They got stuff to do, man. So it's gonna be a different world when I can hit the wheelchair, man. Can't wait. Frankie can't wait neither. I always hear that song. She gets on my leg, Jake, like she's on the front of a ship with her nose up in the air.
Mhm.
She looks like something else when she's on that chair. Like it's her chariot.
Oh goodness. The Adventures of Pinky and Eddie. I'm excited to see it. You got to do some IRL streams where you take people around and you maybe go to the park or something. That's always fun.
I don't know. But in addition to the catheter, they did not send my prescriptions that were written with me, and they did not send the prescriptions to the pharmacy that were supposed to be called in when they discharged me. So that was a nightmare. We had to jump on that. I don't know what I'd do without her, dude. Tell you, I'd be dead. I mean, she's old, man.
You had mentioned, having AS or ankylosing spondylitis, which is a rare form of arthritis. I would appreciate if you could expand on that a little bit more for other people that are watching that don't know about that and just like the complications that causes in your day-to-day routines, what kind of medications you need to take for pain or whatever you might experience from that.
Can explain AS pretty good now. Have you seen those videos where they put the rubber bands around the watermelon
Mm-hmm.
till it explodes? Just imagine bending over to your waist and putting those rubber bands around your shoulders. That's what it feels like. It's constantly pulling down on you. Now, when you get medicated, and I don't mean pain meds, I mean biologic meds, they treat with biologic meds and whatever the words are for non-narcotic meds, those kind of meds. But it's an extremely rare disease. That's why none of you have ever heard of it. It's hereditary. It can skip 30 generations. You can have a mild case. You can have a severe case. I have a severe case. I got diagnosed when I was late stage, so I'm severe late stage, which pretty much means I'm done, as far as fixing me. But the unfortunate thing about the accident is, because of the wounds, I cannot take the medications to treat my ankylosing spondylitis because they destroy cells and it would inhibit healing. Basically, to make me feel better, I put methotrexate. I put a milliliter of methotrexate in my blood, and that is a toxic chemical. It's chemotherapy. It's a toxic chemical that wipes out your cells in your bloodstream. But it feels so good. I mean, dude, it's like shooting up or something. I mean, I've never shot up, but it's like instant relief. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. So out of the three meds I take for the AS, I'm only allowed to take one right now. But that should change come about the first of the year, he said. So I will be much more limber, probably much more pleasant to be around. It just feels like those rubber bands all the time, man. And I get frustrated with my caretakers. My back, ankylosing spondylitis has two different phases it goes through. It attacks your immune system, which inflames everything. And then I said the immune system. It attacks your back, which inflames all the discs and so forth through there. And then when it comes back, it's a Jekyll and Hyde immune system. Then it comes back and heals it. But when it heals it, it grafts a little bone on it, a little bit of bone. Each time it goes through that process, like a stalagmite, grows a little more and a little more. And I can't get my caretakers to understand, hey man, I can't twist. Like it ain't gonna happen. My back don't twist, especially now with this. And yeah, the AS has been a nightmare since the age of 14, man. I didn't get diagnosed until I was 42. And I went to the doctor. They said it was growing pains and just all kinds of nonsense, sciatica and everything but what it was.
Here we go. We are recording again. Yeah, and it says we have 45 minutes left. That sounds good. And by the way, just at any point in time, this is an open conversation. So whenever you need to wrap or whatever, just let me know, and that we can find a good point to close on.
Very funny. That's good.
Can you share any, memorable moments or interactions that you had? I know that you said that you got to save 2 people. That's an amazing thing. Are there any other experiences or moments that you can remember from going live from the hospital
There
or
was a little girl that was in there that was physically abused.
Hmm.
That my fiance and I tried to talk to, but that didn't work out. She was in really bad shape. It made me cry, man. It was bad. It was bad. She's in a bad situation. So all we could do is pray for her. But you just never know who you're going to meet in there, man. All walks of life, from kids to old people. I didn't realize what an audience TikTok had until I started broadcasting them. I just think they're too restrictive with their rules. And if you're going to enforce your rules, you should at least know what you're doing. At least have relevant information.
Yeah, they pawn off a lot of their moderation to just, maybe it takes a few reports from trolls or whatever, but if their bots or their detection systems see enough yellow flags or whatever, they're not going to. I got banned with the Stream Your Care TikTok account. I mean, I was talking about negligence and abuse, but they're pretty hard to get around.
We have pretty strict rules on there. So it's just something that's relatively unavoidable unless you're keeping it straight shot to a degree. And it's a shame because it allows a lot of voices. It just not allowing some things to.
There was times that I would see your fiance in the chat, getting able to stay in touch. I didn't ever see, or at least I didn't ever identify your boys being in the chat. But something that we like to let people know about is how it lets people stay in touch with their family and their friends while they're seeking treatment for something.
Well,
Or
they're 13, Jake, so I'm pretty embarrassed.
yeah, that's totally understandable. I don't know if I would want my 13-year-old boys on TikTok. In what ways have you found strength in moments of vulnerability while sharing your story online with other people? What did sharing your story online do for you
Oh,
personally and mentally?
well, it's very therapeutic to me because it's constantly on my mind, and it seems to help for me to spit it all out. It goes
Mm,
away, so to speak, because I obsess over certain events sometimes. Just my personality. And it's very therapeutic for me. Like I said, it was something I really look forward to every day. The interaction from the audience, like it was amazing because it's the internet, man. You got trolls everywhere. You never know what you're going to get. That's just like when you messaged me. I almost deleted it and blocked you, and I was like, let's see what this dude's got to say. Because there's so many hustles, man. You know what I mean?
Oh
There's so
yeah.
many. I was kind of a smart aleck when I answered you. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, and then you were like, give me the spiel, and I was like, oh, he's for real.
Yeah, that's probably about 7 out of 10 interactions that I have on TikTok is people just blocking me immediately. So I'm very grateful that you heard me out.
Yeah, I am too, buddy. That little birdie told me, she said, man, just see what it's got to say.
Hmm.
I enjoy watching them those bushcraft survival videos on YouTube and TikTok and that. Those guys are, oh man, they're living my dream.
Yeah,
That's some hard work too, bro.
Oh yeah.
But this dude's out in the middle of nowhere eating pancakes and cupcakes and cookies and fried bacon and eggs and toast. I mean, he's living a life.
what other content, if there's any goes into the inspiration behind the kind of content that you make. I mean, not even just as TA51722, but as Eddie Mancuso before the incident as well.
Well, when I was going live, I would always pray first.
Mm.
And, God's a tough boss, buddy, if you get something wrong. I don't want to give to his word or take away from it no matter what I do.
Mm.
So I'm very, very careful on how I respond to people like that. And it's very fulfilling to me to answer their questions, especially the younger generation that's never even heard of God. I call them the Family Guy generation. They think Jesus is some cartoon or something. And it's just not like that. That's what I would do. I'd pray that I said what people needed to hear and that I was successful. I prayed for success.
That's incredible.
And then I just went, I just was myself, high as hell though. I mean, I was so high there. That morphine and walls turned into wax and started melting the first one they give me. And the nurse was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I think so." And it subsided. Then her face melted off and she walked out. I was like, "Wow. Is there any way you could bump that back a little?" You know? See, they
Were there
punctured my lung when I went in for the ulcers. They went to put a PICC line in and bounced off my collarbone and punctured my lung with the needle. Oh golly, the ouch was the chest tube, bud.
Yeah.
They had to take a drill and drill a hole in my rib cage, and then a tube on there for the drainage to come out. That had to be in
Wow.
there for 2 weeks. Man, that hurt. I ain't no sissy, man. I know pain. That was pain.
What's been some of the harder adjustments that you've had to make just with your new limitations that you're experiencing and even being put on wound vacs and things? What are some of the harder adjustments that you've had to make to your routines
Depending
or
on other
just
people. Depending on other people. But very independent. Very
mm,
independent. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. I hate what I've done to my family. I put this big burden on them for years to come. And it hurts, man. It
mm,
does. It hurts. Nothing I can do now, though. Just move on, try to live your best life. All you can do. And, I believe one day I will walk. I know, the doctors say no, but I've talked to other people that the doctors said no. And guess what? Doctors can be wrong. You know,
They can.
if God wants me to walk, I'm going to be walking.
mm. Yes, sir.
But I'm looking forward to October, getting everything healed up where I can slide transfer into my wheelchair. They'll give me some steak and some Chinese food and
Oh hell yeah.
everybody.
Oh
There's
man.
some people I ain't seen. When you're sick like this, dude, people don't come see you. My uncle comes and sees me. I got an aunt that comes and sees. Well, no, she ain't been here. When you're sick like this, man, no, it's like it bums. You know what I mean? They don't want to be bummed out from it.
Yeah.
Mm.
My one uncle, he said he couldn't bear to see me like this. That's why he ain't been here. Which to me is, I mean, what's the big deal? I can't move my legs. I mean, it's not like I'm the guy from the song Metallica song one. It could always be worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of things I thought of when I made inventory on my accident, dude. How about if you can't move your arms or legs, lost your hearing and your sight? Oh, it could always be worse. Always. It could even be worse than that guy. What about them dudes in the old Bible times when they poured that molten lead in their ears?
I didn't
I
even know
mean,
about that.
you
Oh
didn't know
yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
They
that's
did some
serious torture.
fun stuff back then, the people. Put it that way.
Yes, they did. They were barbarians.
Oh yes.
So how has being in this position, changed your perspective on humanity and just like the goodness of the world, where you have family members that are a little bit less willing to come and see you, but you have this community of individuals that you've never met in person before, but they would tune in almost every day, every time that you went live, check in on
Still
you,
get
and
messages.
you still get messages from some of those people through the
Yes,
Facebook group and the
yes,
email.
yeah. She donated like $400 to me. She nearly
Wow.
passed away 2 days ago from a heart blockage.
Oh no.
We've kept in touch. She's on the way out like me, and we got a lot in common. Her husband's dead. He just feels so sorry for her.
Mm.
You know,
Is she doing better now?
I haven't heard from her, pal. I hope so. I messaged her yesterday. It takes her like a day to text you back, but I messaged her yesterday. We could all pray for her, and that would help. I'm sure. She's a sweetheart. She really helped me out. Man, I couldn't eat that hospital food, dude. They called me DoorDash. Was my nickname.
So it was like pretty close to the rehab facilities quality of food in that sense.
Thanks, Oliver. It's about the only thing I can eat. There's bagels. yogurt, applesauce. They got a good fruit plate.
Oh,
Macaroni, not macaroni, but yeah, they got good macaroni salad, and I like that. Now check this out, Jake. The hospital my dad was in, they had a fold-out bed for me to sleep in,
Yeah.
and he had 24-hour room service. I called down there at like 3 o'clock in the morning and had to make me a fruit plate before. That was awesome, man. They took so good of care of him.
Was that in Ohio or was that in West Virginia?
That was a Riverside Methodist Hospital in Ohio. Now, my dad was in the trade for years, 34 years. He was in the ambulance trade. And he told me no matter what city you're in, go to the hospital that's closest to the rich neighborhood. So that's where all the richies live in central Ohio, and that's the best time. I mean, it's day and night treat. They got 4 patients to 1 nurse in some areas.
It's usually
Yeah.
like 10, 1 to 10. So that's incredible.
The care facility I was in was 19 to 1.
oh wow.
How's that legal?
And I think that's why we sort of get in these positions where you end up with people, you ended up with. And it's hard to get those people that really truly do care.
They're there though, man. There's still some good people here.
Yeah, that's a
You
yeah.
just got to look for them.
Just those people out there, they're a godsend.
Just imagine how miserable they are, the non-believers, man. They have no hope. They have nothing. Just work, sleep, and repeat. And what kind of intelligent being is going to create us with our intelligence to live a life like that? We're not meant to. We're here to help each other, man. We're here to help each other. And it feels good helping each other. And it's the right thing to do. I hate bumming money, but I don't mind it because I'm in need right now. And I was always the dude chucking a 20 or a 50 in the bucket. I was always that guy. There's one guy I worked with, his buddy got cancer. He donated his whole check to him, man.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, both that stuff.
That's somebody who cares for sure.
What advice would you give to someone, interested in starting to stream their own healthcare journey, whether they're at a home or in a hospital somewhere?
I've got a lot of experience streaming, even though I haven't been very successful at it. In my experience, put up a schedule and stick to the schedule. Because if
Hmm.
people don't know where to find you or when you're going to be on, they can't get to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what made me the most successful. My breakout broadcast, I had 123 viewers, Jake. You know what I was doing, dude? I was breaking dirt with my hand in Minecraft. The next day, it went up to like 350. It was crazy. And then my mom passed away. And somebody like that passed away, for those of you who hadn't experienced it, man, it's like somebody took a 12 gauge and just blew you across the room. Knocked all the wind out of you, knocked all the sense out of your brain. It's like, just, at least in my experience, you can't function.
Yeah.
And I was terrified I'd get on stream and break down because I was crying a lot. I missed my mom. I loved my mom. And I got no shame in that. I got no shame about shedding tears for her either. She was a wonderful woman, and she pushed me. She didn't know I had my AS. She thought I was lazy, and she pushed me to be a man. If it wasn't for her, I'd have never made it in the real world. I was doing construction work, man. I was lifting serious weight every day. It just completely floored the doctors that I was still working when I got diagnosed. They said, "How do you do that?" I said, "A whole lot of aspirins, buddy. A whole lot of aspirin." But I miss working. I miss my job. I miss the camaraderie with the fellows, and I was a joker, dude. I was a practical joker. I had a ton of fun. If I wasn't having fun, nobody was. You know,
Can you
yeah, it's
provide any
fun.
examples of practical jokes that you would play as a pipe fitter or in
Oh,
construction?
the spitting cobra. The spitting cobra. It's have you seen the wash bins, like the kitchen wash bins with the sprayer where you pull the trigger? You put your couple rubber bands around that and point it where the nozzle is, and they come to turn the water on, and they get the spitting cobra in their face.
That's great.
I'm close to getting in a fight over that. No, I'll tell you, the last one I ended up going to blows, but that was my fault. This guy comes in the trailer. He's just been all out of shape. You know what I mean? Talking about his old lady in a bad mood. I was eating breakfast, man. I didn't break stride at all. I just looked at him. I said, "Well, what the hell did you do to her, man? She was in a great mood when I left last night." He didn't care for that too much.
Yeah. Wow. That's hilarious.
In the same job, we had a guy coming in, and he calls the foreman and says, "I can't come in. I pooped my pants." So, of course, the foreman tells everybody else. He comes in the next day, and everybody's like, "What's up, poopy pants?" And I pulled him off the side. I was like, "Dude, couldn't you say your dog was sick, or you had a flat tire, you overslept?" You know,
Straight to poop in your pants.
Straight to truth. Hey, he's still known to that. Just my nickname because of the AS was the Curve. They
The
called me the
Curve.
Curve.
Oh my. So
That was
you're
my last
DoorDash
nickname.
and the Curve. You got a lot of names, Sean.
Mhm. That's a fact.
You were right now, if you were speaking to all of West Virginia's healthcare, not just employees that are working at the facilities, but the people that are administrating them, how would you change things? What would you do differently?
I think the good people need to speak up more. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, man, but I got no sympathy for you if you're crushing pills and snorting them and you're supposed to be a nurse. Nobody wants to be a snitch, but how's that being a snitch? Isn't that telling? Snitching's when you sneak. So the good ones need to step up to the plate, in my opinion, because they can wipe out the bad ones. They can edge them out. There's only a few in that facility. There's only a few anyway that I've encountered. So uh, that would be my advice to them. Try to be the eyes and ears of goodness, man. I had a back. My back was broken 3 places, man, and they had me on OxyContin. You realize what it feels like to lay there with a broken back without a pain pill for 12 hours? Dude, it was like people had rubber mallets just hit me on the back for hours and I mean, it works on your brain after a while, or maybe my brain's already ate up. I don't know, but it works on you after a while.
Yes, it
And
does.
it's frustrating when you see the good ones look the other way. I've seen that a lot, and I don't like that. Those people, those administrative doctors wrote those policies and procedures for a reason, to keep people alive. That would be my biggest thing. Like if I could talk to them, that's what I'd tell them. Get rid of the garbage. The ones that shine so bright, man. They're amazing. Typically, for me, I was in ICU. They forgot my dinner. Dinner had been over 3 hours, and the nurse in the ICU had me door dashed Five Guys burgers and fries on her nickel.
Wow.
And then she left me a little note about what a good patient I was and all this and that. And, man, I want to be a good patient. I want to get out of this. So I try to tell them doctors, I listen to them and I do what they say. What's the point of going if you're not? You know, my primary care provider, me and him's been through it, buddy. He used to just prescribe me pills, not even tell me. And I said, buddy, before I take pills, we talk about it. And we talk about the advantages, we talk about the disadvantages, and then, then we'll see. And he's been good ever since. I don't like them pill pushers, man. It's like me at home. I don't take near as many pain pills as I do in the hospital because I have access to herbal medicine, alternative medicines. Man, I don't know what I do without. I can tell when that fentanyl patch is running out too, buddy.
Oh yeah, I've been on opioids for 12 years due to my own issues, and it does something to you. It changes you.
How's your EGFR? Is it good? It's a test that determines how functioning your kidneys are. Like you're taking.
The last one of those I had was a couple of years ago, probably pre-COVID, and everything was a-okay. I'm at risk for kidney issues and stuff since I was very young, but so they keep me away from like a Tylenol and all that other stuff. But yeah, my kidneys are functional, but it.
I got
s- Sorry,
you
go.
got my ulcers from ibuprofen.
Yep, that's my. I have GERD and all this other stuff in my stomach, and a lot of my stomach ulcers and big stomach mess was advanced by ibuprofen, and
Oh, I hate to hear that for you, bro. I'll be praying. That's terrible.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I can completely relate to, just that painkiller mess and what a godsend like like alternative medicines really can be when you're faced with like a lot of these pill pushers and a lot of this stuff that they just throw at you and blindly expect you to take.
Dude, if I take enough pills to not hurt, I'm not going to remember. I'm going to black out.
Yep, it turns
And
you.
I ain't never done enough herb to black out.
Yeah, yeah.
And believe me, I tried.
Yeah, it's a messy thing I find. It's quite a shame because you see the effects on a lot of people who get stuck in, with that sort of thing and how it affects them. Is like marijuana and stuff legal there?
Yeah, medical. I got to get my
Medical?
medical card.
Yeah, because that was a big thing when they legalized it here in Michigan before it was medical. Night and day, like the people who are on painkillers switching to that, you could tell. It does a great job.
Yeah, I'm out of herb. Don't have fundage. I feel like Scrappy and Scooby Doo.
How's the accessibility for that where you're at? You said you're a little bit a ways away from, you're out in the sticks, you're from where the term redneck originated. How does lack of accessibility to medications such as weed or even things like accessibility programs where they provide you devices or grants or clinics that you can go to, how does that impact your care, the quality of care and your quality of life?
Care if I plug somebody?
Go for it.
There's a guy. His name is Dan Noshea, Noshay. He's out of Florida, and he does Medicaid, Medicare. And man, I'm telling you, if I have any kind of problem, I just get a hold of him, and it's gone within a day. They sent me a bill for $850, and he fixed it. They've sent other bills, and he's fixed them. He's just very helpful. I got a really good support system as far as that goes. I can call him, and he's got direct numbers to United Healthcare. I hate sitting on the phone, man, waiting on hold. Whew.
Yeah.
And then they try to be nice to you and tell you how important you are. Just making it matter.
Yeah.
You said you have a pretty regular caregiver that comes in and takes care of you now, but that it hasn't been the easiest getting to that point. How has that transitional period been from, getting out of the hospital, having to adjust to home care environment and
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to adjust to it. And she is gold, man. She works through the day while Katrina's at work. Ironically enough, she was a CNA babe. She was a CNA and she's retired. And she knows my family, so I can trust her really well. And she's very punctual here on time. She almost does as good as us, homie. I'm my best caretaker. But yeah, I've been blessed with her. Because the night girl, you should have seen the night girl we had. Oh my goodness. We just got rid of night girls.
What was something you in particular looked for with your experiences of looking for a personal?
I go to health grades, and health grades is a ranking system for doctors that are done by patients. They can leave comments, like why they didn't like what they did. Oh, listen, man, this is the end. If you got one complaint that you're doing something wrong, that's one thing. If there's 10 people on there in a row that got the same complaint,
Oh yeah.
pretty legit.
Yes.
So I checked thoroughly through there, and then I asked my primary care provider. So the best thing here's how you get the best doctor. And Mike, go to the doctor you're dealing with and say, listen, if you had a son or a daughter my age, where would you send them? I hold more weight with his suggestion than I do just Joe Blow walking down the street. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They know what's going on. And a way to find a good hospital is to ask a paramedic because most paramedics in cities serve all the hospitals and they see all the behind the scenes BS that goes on. And there's a reason when they retire why they don't go to ones and they go to others.
this is really insightful. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
that
that.
is fantastic advice.
Yeah, that's the best way I've found. And you got to be your own advocate. Don't let them run over you and say, this is how it's going to be. If you're one of them personalities, bring your spouse or your sister or somebody who can be your advocate while you're there because I've seen that happen so many times. They don't get that off of me, Jack. I'll call them on the carpet right all, like, hey, we need to talk,
Yeah.
you know.
Hmm.
But the people I see, you got them drug reps in there and this is the hottest drug of the week. So this is what's getting prescribed. I hate the whole, I call it the pharmaceutical game.
Yep.
It's the biggest gang in the world for sure.
Oh yes.
And you talk about deep pockets, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot of money than you could even imagine that flows through all
They
that.
measure their money in trillions.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's not at your best interest at all. It's interest of their pockets at the end of the day. But yeah, that is fantastic advice on how to like really narrow that down for sure.
What are like the most pressing needs that you have right now, Sean, that people could not just keep an eye out for, but also help you advocate for in whatever way? Like, when we made the post on Reddit, that one guy who worked for a specialized bed company reached out. What other needs might you have, not just now, but going forward when you get a wheelchair in October and
It's a tough question. I'm not sure. I'm really not. The biggest thing I need help with is the payroll. It's 450 a week for her. We lived on tournament rich, man, and we really can't afford that. We're robbing Peter to pay Paul right now, and actually, she's such a good person. I'm going to see if she'd be willing to go a week or two without pay until I got some money coming through the courts next week. I don't know what we're going to do, but I leave it in God's hand. He'll figure it out. I mean, that's the biggest pressing thing. I have the care. I have the quality of care. I have awesome caregivers. Um, I eat well. She feeds me well. I just couldn't ask for anything better. And I want to give a bunch of kudos to my fiancee Katrina, because without her, I wouldn't be here. She was like a nurse. She was better than a nurse. She done my bandages better than the nurse, which blows me away. But she really did, and I wouldn't be where I am without her.
And I wanted to kind of reel it back a bit when you were talking about your faith, keeping you strong and all that. Was there any like specific moments with your faith that helped you, while you were recovering and getting through the hospital in particular?
When I thought I was going to die, when I was conscious this last time, my blood pressure got so low that I thought I was going to die. I got a surreal, peaceful feeling came over my whole body, and it just hung there for a little bit. It wasn't there long. And when I lost that feeling, my pulse started coming back up. I mean, I've seen signs, dude. Well, Jake's a good example. I didn't know how to find him. I knew I needed a guy like him, but where do you find somebody like that? You know what I mean? And just the way the doors have been open. I mean, dude, I should be dead 4 times over. So that kind of impresses me out of my creator. Thank you very much for keeping my dumbness here. Uh, but going fast on a off-road vehicle on the pavement's not a good idea. Pinky just had a birthday, the 18th, Jake. She turned 6.
Oh,
They turned
sweet.
6. That's
She got
awesome.
treats all day. Didn't get sick. It was good. She's my 3-pound chihuahua.
I saw the pictures of her. She's adorable.
Yeah, it's hard to miss pictures of her around me. I think my girlfriend's mad at me. I got more pictures of Pinky than I do her.
You said she ain't
I
left your
told her
side
dad.
since you got back, right?
I told her dad when I was in the hospital the first time. I talked to him on the phone, and I said, "Make sure you tell Katrina I love her almost as much as Pinky."
Has there been anything strange about I mean, I know you stream a little bit less on Twitch than you do TikTok, and that was something that I meant to ask you about earlier was, you said it was incredibly disruptive. It got to your head getting banned on TikTok and having to adjust to Twitch where the viewers are just significantly less. The traffic that you get is significantly less on this platform. Do you mind expanding a little bit more on the impact that having to transition over to Twitch has been on you personally? Because there's a lot of people that have had to do similar things.
I mean, I broadcasted on Twitch years ago as a gamer broadcaster, and I just left the account in limbo. So I just picked off. It was already written up, even though it's a little inaccurate. I think that it's unfortunate that Twitch has less viewers because I think it's more stable. They
Mhm.
don't got the BS about bans and all that. It's much more free. It's a freer place to express yourself. You know what I mean? With less restrictions. And it was challenging, but I did it. It all came back to me. It's kind of hard, tricky to navigate, I think, Twitch is. The way they got the menus set up and
Yeah, not the most user friendly site for sure, but it works. It works very
yeah, as
well to
long
get
as it
going.
works, right?
Yep. Yeah.
It's
Like
just
your
like
big son.
Battlefield 4, dude. I bought Battlefield 4 and it's 15 years old now and it still don't work. Never learned my lesson with Battlefield.
Are you Battlefield fan? You like playing those games?
Oh man. Well, Battlefield 4 was my last favorite. Battlefield 1 was okay, only because I'm a history buff.
Yeah.
But the snipers were baloney. I mean, that was just ridiculous. Of course, if somebody hits you with a 30-06, your head's coming off. I don't care
Yeah,
who.
yeah, you're not lasting through that.
Yeah, the hypersonic wave would blow your heart out. I mean,
Oh yeah, that does a lot of damage to the body.
just a done duck.
I take you, play a lot of games and all that.
I used to. I have trouble with coordination now. When I get tremors in my hands at times, and sometimes I'll throw the controller. Not mean to, and it hasn't been around lately. Last time I was seriously playing it, it did that, and it kind of scared me. So I kind of backed off. I get on there a little bit. I play World of Tanks usually
Oh, sweet.
and lose miserably because my team's the one that goes straight. I get the good team. They're coming straight for us. Yeah. Again, thanks for having me, and thank you for the questions. I appreciate it.
Of course. Are there any new projects or initiatives that you're excited about or that you could share with us looking forward? Anything to keep our eye out for on your end?
It'll be a good day when my stores close up. That's my next milestone I'm looking forward to is for them to close. That way I can slide on the board and that way I can get in the chair.
Oh yeah.
Once I get in the chair, I just got to practice my transfers till I can get in the car. And,
That's definitely something we can let people know just to keep in their prayers.
I certainly appreciate all the prayers I've had. I've been very blessed. It's really been a long journey, and we got a ways to go, but I'm gonna get there.
Amen.
Quite a long. Yeah, I got a trapeze here. A trapeze.
Yeah, like a
So
little
I'm
Hoyer
working.
lift kind of deal.
Well, I got one of those too over
Oh,
there.
nice.
But I've been working my upper body with the trapeze.
Are there any, key closing messages that you would like to share just in general with our audience as well as your own audience? Because we'll probably end up sharing this with them.
Take the time to be kind. There's enough nasty people in the world. Be the exception to the rule. Be a kind. Be the guy that buys somebody a cup of coffee or helps them get a new pair of shoes that they need. We're only here for a short time. And I firmly believe our purpose is to take care of each other. And it's a very rewarding feeling when you help somebody. At least in my experience, it is. And people like Jake are amazing. Stream Your Care is amazing. And I just want to thank you very much for the exposure. You're dedicated. You're dedicated.
Roger was so pivotal in my life in teaching me what I was capable of doing and just thousands and thousands of other people. So we're just trying to continue on his legacy, the inspiration that he provided to us and to other people so that they can inspire other people elsewhere.
God rest his soul.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to watch this interview. Please make sure to follow Eddie Mancuso on Twitch and TA51722 on TikTok. His channel links and GoFundMe are in the video description. The conference software that we were using actually cut our interview off a little bit short, but we'll be sure to bring Sean back on the channel for an update in the coming months. If you use social media to share your medical journey or just your medical story, we would love the opportunity to interview you. Our contact links are available on the Stream Your Care website. Please take care of yourselves so that you can help take care of others, and we hope to see you next time.